Friendly greetings. It's Torley here with another vlog video. Blogging, which is in short for web log. Yes, that's it. I was going to say web journal. That didn't quite make sense. I was thinking of live journal. Anyway, to the point. What I'd like to talk today about is how easy it has gotten to make music. As I speak, I just received I don't have sound set up right now. A new issue of Computer Music, and hearing about these software studios like Reason. Well, I use Ableton Live. Reason's pretty cool. But what impresses me is it's so versatile with your device chain. If you don't know what Reason is or don't know what Ableton Live is, look them up, of course. But in Ableton Live, it's so modular. It has a great collection of its own effects and instruments, and you can arrange them in just about whatever darn order you please. There's no actual physical cables to have to worry about. And this was a problem over a decade ago, or approximately close to that, when I had a studio that had a lot of hardware synthesizers. Now, this isn't about debating the merits between which is better, blah, 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 because I find those tend to be very pedantic and they don't actually get to making music, which bores me horribly. I like some thought into things. I like research and comparisons, but after a point, you just got to step on it. You got to make some jams. You got to bust a groove, you know what I'm saying? So back in the old days, it was so painful because if I wanted to change, say there was an effects module, a physical one I could hold in my hands, and I had phono instrument plugs into it, and it only had limited, perhaps a couple pairs of inputs in some of the lower end models anyway, and I wanted to change it to another one, then I have to physically swap those out. Well, that's much more laborious when you do it a lot compared to the drag and drop in a software studio, such as Ableton Live. And what also appeals to me is that processing power has really advanced. When running some of the mixes I was composing lately, I was looking at the CPU meter, and I have a full-fledged mastering chain at the end of it. Maybe I'll go into more detail about that in the future, but to pump up my sounds, get a nice tight beats and healthy volume levels. And I was amazed it took about 30-40%, and I haven't really even pushed that to the max yet. But it did have quite a few tracks. So getting to the point in the future, it'll be even more intense, and we'll see how things happen. And technology keeps getting better. Computers have more and more power. Basic 3D can run in even the lowliest of desktop computers that are reasonably sold. I'm not talking about crazy knockoffs from some alien technology. Well, actually, those would be better. So poor analogy. But what I'm referring to, of course, is the flexibility we have. I remember when Freeze tracks first became available for sequencers. I think that was Logic Audio, but there were some instances before that in which it was sort of an experiment. And that's so cool because you can take your whole track right there in a few seconds. It's clean. There's no intermittent analog hiss. You can add some later with speakerphone if you'd like to. That's one of my favorites for getting that groove. Not groove, that grit and grime, when you need that space and that airy feel. And then you can put that in there, and then you can modify and chop up the audio. It's incredibly versatile. One of my favorite things to do recently is with a hand clap. I'll have to show you this more in detail so I can actually show you, not just tell you. So take a hand clap sound or snare like psh, and then suck it backwards on itself. It's very simple. It's very effective. So instead of just psh, it goes whoosh, psh, whoosh, psh, kind of like a whip. That's what it sounds like. So I'm in awe right now. I'm going to read this soon. It just came in the mail, like I said. It just amazes me, all these possibilities we have, that in many cases you don't even have to wait ordering time for a hardware equipment to arrive in the mail. You can just download a plugin or a demo and try it out and know very quickly, compared to how it was before, if you're going to really like it or not. That's how I've been making my purchase decisions. I've been basically creating my own zoo of my favorite software instruments, virtual instruments, and plugins. I look at things like CamelPhat and CamelSpace. I was like, I need this. I don't have something that fulfills that need. I've been looking at various sample libraries. I got from Loop Masters, I got Wave Alchemy SFX collection. So Wave Alchemy is a cool name. SFX collection is kind of generic, but you put the two together and you know what I'm talking about. Because I like those transition noises. I'm big on those. The whoosh, like the old SID, MOS 6581, all that kind of stuff. And I can totally geek out about it. But my point here is we are incredibly blessed with the technology we have now, with being able to create so much on a desktop computer, which for the value, which what you pay for, can be used for other things. And if you're into serious recording, of course, you can optimize, you can streamline. And you probably don't want, no one wants spam hogging, malware, and all that other crap on your computer. In my case, though, I have like every app open when I'm running Ableton Live. It's a Mac Pro 2008 model, and I have Photoshop open at Parallels. I have a whole bunch of things going on, and it's pretty good. There are times when I load a song, and I have had intermittent crashes. But for practical purposes, when I'm in the zone, it's a lot better than when I was using. If you remember this, you can geek out with me. It was opcode Studio Vision. Do you remember that name? Before they were ruined by Gibson. And it used to crash when I opened a notation window with too many notes in it. So I used to be fearful. I wanted to do these amazing multi-layered arrangements, but it used to crash so much. This was version, was it 4.5.1? And I didn't really use the audio feature in that. I had this weird setup back in the day, and it was kludgy compared to what I have now. Another thing, song recall is so much easier because with all these hardware synths, you have to load the SysX dumps. Oh, it was awful when things can change. You might accidentally change a preference, a global preference, which changes the tuning, even with digital ones. Analog synthesizers, even more hoary that way. So with Ableton Live, I just opened a set, and provided I have all the plugins there, things are pretty much as they were before. And I haven't done the process of freezing every track into a stem and then saving those. That might be just a little too much disk space, but disk space is another great thing because now we have terabyte drives that cost less than $100 US and even more. 1.5 terabyte drives have already become fairly common. I got a great deal on some of those, and it's just going to keep getting better from there. So really now, with all this technology, we still have humans that you got to learn the gear. You got to automate what is for the computer to do so you can focus on channeling your creativity. The computer can take care of manual tasks and mundane things so you can get to your higher level brain functions and your deep-seated emotions and express your art. Let me know how you feel about that, Kay.